Good afternoon. This is Mike Macumber with Adams Insurance Service, doing the fifth of a 7-part series on safe driving fleet training. Today's topic is safe accident-free driving. It doesn't just happen, it takes work. We're going to spend our time talking about various aspects of safe driving today and start with, and we're going to go back a little bit and talk about that attitude adjustment. Well, list 12 things that I want you to think about as an individual as you look at yourself as a driver to make you a better driver. First of all, you want to approach driving with a sense of awareness. And what do I mean by that? I mean, you want to drive your vehicle, but you also want to drive your vehicle with your mind engaged, and you want to be aware of what's going on around you and in the vehicle. Secondly, you want to know your limitations. If you're tired, had a late night, you want to know that your mind may not be functioning exactly as you want it to. So you take extra precautions. You want to follow the rules of the road. That seems very simple. Obey the speed limits, follow the rules as you drive your vehicle. But again, you want to know what they are and you want to follow. You want to drive courteously. Sometimes this is very difficult because some of those other drivers out there are not very courteous to you. But you know, your goal is to go from point A to point B and reach it safely. That means you want to be in control. Keep your emotions in check. So you try to be courteous. Number 5, don't take it personally. Just because that guy went around you and pulled in front, you had to hit your brakes or you would have hit him. He wasn't doing it to get you. It's just the way he drives. So don't take it personally. Give angry and aggressive drivers as much room as they can possibly need. In other words, keep them in front of you, keep them off in the distance, and don't let them be an asset to your problems. Avoid engaging with an aggressive driver. Just because he does something nasty to you doesn't mean you have to do it back. Don't let yourself be distracted. Remember, we've talked about distractions quite a bit in every one of these lessons because that's the biggest issue any driver faces. Work at paying attention. Engage your mind in the task that you're doing. Avoid backing up. I honestly believe that backing up is one of the most dangerous things a driver can do. And so therefore, if you can avoid doing that, put yourself in situations where you do not have to back up your vehicle. You put yourself in a situation of not having an accident. Remember, driving requires 100% of your attention. You in the back row who aren't paying attention right now? Driving requires 100% of your attention, as does this class, as you're taking notes. And finally, come home safely. That's the goal. The goal is you finish your day, you go home, and everything is great. A safe driver is not born that way. You don't graduate from driving school and start driving a vehicle and automatically are a safe driver. It's something you have to learn, and it has to be taken seriously. Are you learning to be safe, or will you be the next accident? That's the question. And really, the choice is yours. So as we look at your attitude as a driver, remember, our goal is that you will be the best driver you can be, that you will do everything you can do to be safe and be accident-free so that you have time to handle the problems of that other driver. Secondly, I want to look at a checklist of things just to go over we've already talked about a number of times. First of all, you want to obey the law. Now, that seems like a real simple statement, and we all understand it. But that means if the posted speed limit is 45, you're driving 45 miles an hour or less. Not 47, not 49, not 52, 45. Secondly, you want to have yourself obeying all the traffic signs and laws. If it says do not pass, you do not pass someone. If it says soft shoulder, that means you're supposed to be staying away from the shoulder and keeping your vehicle in the middle lane or the middle of your lane. You want to pass other vehicles only on the left and only if you have to. You're better off not passing. We don't pass on the right. Never go around and pass a stop school bus, even if it's got yellow lights. Those could be kids coming off and running in front of you. Yield to the drivers who have the right of way. And even if they don't have the right of way, think that they may think they do and be prepared to let them have it. Never drive under the influence of alcohol or drugs. And if you're taking a prescription drug, be aware of what it might be doing to your body. It might make you less alert while you're driving your vehicle. Drive sensibly and defensively. Correctly position your mirrors so that you can see everything that's going on around your vehicle. Never tailgate. Keep distance between you and that other vehicle so that you have an opportunity to stop if you need to. Don't insist on the right of way. You come to a four-way stop and you know you were there first. Yeah, but the other guy may disagree. And it's not worth the fight because your vehicle gets damaged. Be aware of what's happening around you and also what's happening in front of you. Several car lengths up there. Scan the distance. Scan the horizon. Know what's going on in front. And also learn to expect the unexpected. Because when you're driving, the unexpected is what is expected. Cars are going to do things that you don't expect them to do. They're going to head at your vehicle in a manner that you didn't expect to happen. Be ready for it. Be prepared for it. Play the what if game. What if they do this? What am I going to do? It'll help you long term. Potholes in the road, cyclists on the road, motorcycles, bicyclists, pedestrians, they are all hazards that could impact your drive. Are you aware of them all around you? Are you taking time to take notice and to expect what they might do? Remember, driving is not just getting behind the wheel, starting the vehicle, putting it in drive, and your mind disengages. Though unfortunately, I've seen many drivers who that's the way they drive. Take bad weather precautions. In Houston, we've had our share of bad weather this year. And at the same time, we always have rain. We always have roads that are wet, and it's something we've got to understand and we've got to deal with. So you need to understand the conditions that you're driving into, how they're going to impact your drive, and what they could do to your vehicle. Use your wipers. Check the wipers. Make sure they're getting the water off the windshield. Use defrosters if they're starting to fog up. Make sure your vehicle is in best condition possible. Check regularly your tires. Check regularly your brakes. Make sure that that vehicle is functioning the way it was intended to. When visibility is poor, if there's fog, slow down. And if there's fog and it's going to lift in about an hour, if you can wait the hour. You want to have clear visibility. But if you have to go out, keep in the center of your lane, drive at a speed limit less than posted because you need to have time to stop and recognize that is critical to your safety. When a visibility is poor because of fog or rain or anything else that might be there, you need to reduce your speed, increase the distance between you and the vehicle in front of you, brake gently, watch out for puddles, and if you skid directly into the direction you want to go. And then finally, in this driver checklist, maintain your vehicle. You know, that vehicle may be the thing that keeps you from dying. So it needs the attention that it should have. Make sure it is in good working order. Make sure it's mechanically sound. Make sure the windows are clear. Make sure the mirrors are working and properly set. Use your vehicle as a tool to help you drive safely. The next thing I want to talk about, and I've been looking forward to this, is 15 characteristics of a bad driver. Now, this is where you're going to want to sit and put a check mark on next to your name every time I mention something that you might be guilty of. So let's get into it. First of all, using your cell phone while driving. That's a bad driver. It's a distraction that you can control. We're just talking about a claim right now with one of our clients and our client driver rear-ended someone. Now, the impact was just at a small miles per hour, and they're asking for big dollars. So we think we have a great deal until all of a sudden we find out that our driver at the time of the impact was talking on his cell phone and not paying attention. All of a sudden, the value of this claim went up double. Why? Well, because if you're the attorney representing the people who were injured and you find out our driver was on the cell phone talking and distracted, you're going to tell everybody on that jury, look, this guy was an improper driver, was not driving safely, was violating your company's rules, and he caused this injury. We're lucky he was only driving 8 or 10 miles an hour. If he'd been driving 30, we could have a death here. They need to be punished for what they did. And off to the races we go. Cell phones are not to be on or used while you're driving a motor vehicle. Every company has that policy. Every state government, it says it is a safe rule to have. Turn them off. Turn them off. Turn them off. A bad driver fails to control his distractions. Speeding. Now, you aggressive drivers out there, I'm talking to you. You might be a good driver, but when you speed and you move in a manner that's faster than you should be going in that vehicle, you put yourself in danger, and other people too. And a bad driver normally is a speeding driver. And that bad driver also is somebody who's going to tailgate the vehicle in front of him. I've never understood the logic of this process. Number one, I'm driving faster than the speed limit says, and I'm following the other vehicle in front of me so close that I couldn't stop if I had to. They make no sense. And that's what bad drivers do. They do things that make no sense. How about not using your turn signals? I'm going to turn left. Do you forget to turn the turn signal? I'm going to turn right. Do you forget your turn signal? That signal is there to allow other drivers to know what you're going to do. Bad drivers don't use their turn signals. Or how about merging improperly or in an unsafe manner? When you are off of freeway and you're coming onto the road and you have to merge with traffic, the traffic has the right of way, and you are required to match speed and be safe to merge into traffic. Forcing your way in, not smart, because an accident could ensue. Bad drivers are poor mergers because normally they think they have control of everything. So who cares? 6, accelerating through a yellow light. Remember the way drive in Houston? Green means go. Yellow means hit the accelerator and go. And red means blast it. Let's make it. No, that's not what they mean. Green is go, but go cautiously. As you're approaching an intersection, you ought to have your foot near the brake. You ought to be ready to brake, especially if you don't know how long that light has been green. Because when it turns to yellow, you have a legal obligation to stop if you can safely do it. And if you have to hit the accelerator and you go through the intersection and the light turns red before you get under it, you had an opportunity to stop. Bad drivers don't. How about ignoring traffic signs? The signs that say, stop, no left turn, no right turn only lane, and you've been riding in, and all of a sudden you pull into the lane next to you on the left and cut somebody off. Bad driver, bad driver. Bad drivers are always rubbernecking. They're looking for something else that's going on around. The accident in the other lane is of most attention, whereas they're driving 45 miles an hour down the road and they don't know what's going on in front of them because they aren't paying attention. Bad drivers are easily distracted. Bad drivers act like the road belongs to them. They're the king or queen. You are a driver on the road, one of many. You have no more ownership of that space you're in than anybody else. And you, although, have the responsibility of care for everybody else. Bad drivers have to understand they're not the king of the road. Bad drivers hold the steering wheel improperly. one hand driving like this, or leaning down, like leaning way back like this. I saw one person, I didn't even think there was somebody in the car. His seat was so low, his seat was so far back he could have gone to sleep. And he was reaching as far as he could, just driving about with his nose just barely above the dash. You are to hold that steering wheel in either one of two ways. Either the hands are at 10 and 2, which is the way most people have been taught. In recent years, because of the airbag in the middle of the steering wheel, safety has modified and we now go 3 and 9. So if the airbag goes off, you're not being thrown off the steering wheel. But either way, 2 hands on the wheel, 10 and 2 or 3 and 9. That's the way you're supposed to drive your vehicle. A bad driver's car or truck can be covered with all kinds of dings and dents and scrapes and scratches. You know, manager, I think you have a bunch of drivers driving their vehicles on a regular basis. It might not be a bad idea to walk out there and just do a very slow walk around and see how many dings or dents you might find in that vehicle. You see, bad drivers don't all of a sudden become bad drivers. They have bad habits, and those habits eventually show up in an accident. Check the vehicles. If you've got a vehicle that's got half a dozen dings or scratches, you may want to talk to this driver about the way he pays attention and deals with distractions. 13, a bad driver cannot let others overtake him. They feel a sign of weakness. So I'm driving down the road, and all of a sudden I see this guy pulling alongside me, and he starts to pass. Well, ain't going to pass me, and I speed up. So he speeds up. So eventually we're on the Indy 500, and we're racing down the road. Let the guy pass. It doesn't matter. Your job is to obey the law, drive within the speed limit, and be safe. 14, a bad driver lacks self-control. They are by nature aggressive and allow aggressive personalities to come out. You see, bad drivers don't just happen, they're trained that way. Just like good drivers don't just happen, they're trained that way. How many times have you been told by somebody when you did something in a vehicle, hey, you're speeding, you forgot your turn signal, are you paying attention? Why are you looking over there? If you're married, I'm sure your wife has said that, at least at some time. That's really someone trying to help you out to become a good driver. Bad drivers also sometimes feel it's a sign of weakness to admit they need to change. No, it's a sign of stupidity to fail to admit you need to change. We are all made and have become who we are based on our habits. Some are good, some are bad. You as a driver, especially of a company vehicle, are responsible to have good habits and to be someone who is always looking at what they do to become better at driving. You represent your company. You represent your company's assets. And how you drive that vehicle many times determines the profit or loss of that company. So don't be a bad driver. Learn to control what you do behind the wheel. Learn to be someone who is careful, not careless, and watch out what you do. Next, we want to look at some safe practices around trucks and vehicles, getting in and out and going around it. First of all, we've already talked about the 3-point prospect or 3-point contact of getting in or out of a truck. It's real simple. Your body has 4 points, 2 hands and 2 feet. So if you're getting in a vehicle, 1 foot stays on the ground, the other 2 hands reach in to pull up, then you take the other foot, goes off the ground, and you shift your body into the vehicle. 3 points are always in contact with either the vehicle or the ground. Now, how do you do that if you got a cup of coffee in your left hand? You can't. And so you're more possibility exists more that you're going to fall. You've got to have at all times 3 of the 4 points in contact with either the truck or the ground. Anything less than that is unsafe and improper. So practice getting in and out of your vehicles with always 3 points, at minimum of 3 points of contact. Secondly, never jump out of a truck or off the back of a tailgate of a truck. Because all you're doing is you're forcing your body to come to a very quick conclusion in landing on the ground, which can hurt your knees, your ankles, your lower back, even your shoulders. There have been bodily injuries claims I've seen over the years for all parts of those bodies because someone jumped 3 feet, 4 feet off the back of a truck. Never jump off the truck. Always sit down, use a step, use something to help you lay yourself down as slowly as possible to avoid bodily injuries. General guidelines that we're going to call common sense. Don't rush, plan. If I got to get from point A to point B, allow the time to do it. And if you don't have the time to do it, admit that and be late. Call them ahead that you're going to be running late. Face the vehicle when exiting it. In other words, as I'm getting out of my truck, I'm not getting out face forward. I'm getting out with my body attached still, hands to the truck and one foot as I'm laying the other foot down. You want to work in close proximity. Know what's on the ground before you exit. I'm going to look on the ground before I get out. There might be a puddle there. There might be a hole. There could be something laying there. It could be an animal that's come in that could cause me to fall. Know what's going on around you. That means the cup of coffee is not in my hand and I'm not talking to someone else. I'm paying attention to what I do. Wear the correct footwear. If you got work boots on, then be sure they're laced. Make sure they're able to help you get down safely. Avoid slippery surfaces. When you park, try to park in a way where you can get out of that vehicle safely. Be aware of your surroundings. Look around for potentially dangerous people. You know, we live in a society today that there's a lot more danger as we're driving around our cities. Robberies are taking place, muggings are happening. So if you pull into an area you're not familiar with and there's nobody else around but there's one person, and that person happens to be watching you very closely, you may not want to get out of the vehicle yet. Sit there, find out, or you might want to honk the horn to get somebody to come out. You might want to have a witness to protect yourself from potential dangers. Limit your distractions as you're getting out of the vehicle. Don't talk on the phone as you're getting out of the vehicle. Take your time, turn the phone off, and get down. Know the walking areas, know the facility you're going to, know what's going on around you, and know where you're safe and when you're not. And when it's not safe, don't go there. Keep alert. Watch out before you walk. Always knows what's going on around you. When I digress just for a minute and add another piece into this discussion, and that is we as drivers also have backs, and we can have back injuries too. So we want to do things in our life to make sure that that back injury doesn't take place. So how do you prevent back injuries? Well, first of all, we need to understand that prolonged periods of sitting can cause stiffness in the back and a sense of tightness. So there are exercises you can do while sitting in your vehicle, stretching exercises, movements as you're parked or as you're at a stop sign, reaching way out and stretching the lower back. Those are all good to help keep your back loose as you're driving. When you have to lift something, always use the proper lifting techniques. Make sure the item is not too heavy to lift. Stand directly with your feet shoulder length apart. Bend down at the knees. Lift the item. Pick it up, bring it into your chest, and lift with your legs, not your lower back, not your shoulders. You want to lift with your legs. And then turn, take it to where it's going to go, and then do the same thing in reverse. Blow down with your knees, in your legs, put the item down, and stand up. When setting down that load, take the time that's necessary. And if the load's too big, get help. Recognize your back is the only back you're going to have. And any damage you do to it is damage that lasts a lifetime. Back injuries are not fun, and they stay with you forever. What are some of the causes of back pain? Well, poor posture. How do you sit in that chair when you're driving that vehicle? You sit straight? Is the back against you? Are you carefully watching what you're doing as you're sitting there? Overexertion, lifting too much, or stretching. You understand that if I lift a 20-pound object next to my body, it weighs 20 pounds with my lifting my legs. If I put the object out here away from my body, that 20 pounds now is creating an 80 to 90-pound object as far as my back is concerned. The body was designed to carry things close to the body using the legs to lift and to lower. Sitting, standing, and sleeping. The way you sit, the way you stand, your posture as you walk, all this impacts your body. It can cause shoulder problems, neck problems, lower back problems, leg problems. You need to be careful. And then injuries. We've all fallen. We've all lifted something afterwards saying, man, I wish I'd done that, could get a little strain. Well, those strains we have a habit of compensating for. And when we compensate, many times we can harm another part of our body. So you want to be careful that when you do any lifting or you have any tenderness in your back, in your shoulders, and the other parts of your body, that you adjust for that and maybe not do some lifting that you may normally have done. If you're standing for long periods of time, make sure you periodically change your foot position. Adjust. Also, make sure that when you're walking and working, every day when you come in, you just got in the vehicle, you're just getting there. Stretching exercises are easy. They take 5 or 10 minutes, and they will help prevent injuries as you logistically stretch your back, stretch your shoulders, stretch your neck. You'll put your body in a more usable format. Finally, I want to talk about what to do in emergency situations when driving. First of all, proceed with caution. Always be careful when you're driving. Secondly, accidents. When they happen, do these things. Number one, make sure you're okay. Pull your vehicle off to the side of the road. Turn on your flashers. Other vehicles involved in the accident, check for traffic, and then be of help to see if everybody else is okay. Check for injuries, make sure no one else is injured. Remain calm. Regardless whether you think it's your fault or not, that's not the point. You shouldn't be talking about that. Talk about, are you okay? Can I help you? That's when you call your office and let you know you've had an accident, where you are, so hopefully someone from the office will come out. That's also when you call the police. Report the accident to rate someone to come. If medical care is necessary, call 911. Then you want to document everything. It's time to know who everybody's name is, the driver of the other vehicle, any other passengers, who's in your vehicle, if any other passengers, and get all that information so that we know how to investigate the accident later. Be polite, be respectful. Whether, again, it was your fault or not, that's not important. It's important now to deal with the accident, to handle it in the manner that needs to be handled. Put out your flares, put out the warning devices. We'll talk about that in our next session. But make sure that everybody knows you're there. Watch out for other vehicles. We don't need another accident while you're parked there. During this time is when you are going to spend the most time taking care of yourself. We've had an accident, okay? It's taken place. Now is the time to make sure it's not made worse. So these are some of the things that you need to be aware of. You are an individual. Be the best driver you can be. Take steps to become better at what you do. Remember, your goal is always to come back alive and come back with no accident, no injury. This is Mike Macumber with Adams Insurance Service.